Understanding injunctions is crucial. An injunction is a powerful order issued by a court to compel or prevent a specific action. Think of it as a legal stop sign or a green light directly influencing behavior. This tool is reserved for situations where monetary damages alone cannot provide an adequate remedy. Injunctions aim to preserve rights or prevent harm before it occurs, playing a critical role in justice. There are several types of injunctions: temporary restraining orders, TROs, preliminary injunctions, and permanent injunctions. TROs are sought in urgent situations to prevent immediate harm. Preliminary injunctions maintain the status quo until a full trial. Permanent injunctions provide long-term resolution. Courts do not grant injunctions automatically. There is a rigorous set of criteria. Applicants must demonstrate a likelihood of success and show irreparable harm if not granted. The public interest is also a key consideration. Recently, the Supreme Court ruled that temporary injunctions cannot be granted when appealing the rejection of an initial plaint. A plaint is the foundational document that initiates a lawsuit. If a lower court rejects this plaint, the case is stopped before it begins. The ruling addresses interim protections during an appeal of such a rejection. This decision aims to streamline judicial processes and prevent interim orders in fundamentally flawed cases. The ruling emphasizes that an appeal against a plaint's rejection challenges the lawsuit's viability. Until that viability is confirmed, interim relief like an injunction is not appropriate. This places a greater burden on plaintiffs to ensure their initial plaints are impeccably drafted. The Supreme Court's reasoning is grounded in a fundamental legal principle. If a trial court rejects a plaint, there is no existing case on the merits. An injunction is an ancillary remedy granted in aid of a primary legal claim. If the primary claim is untenable, granting an injunction would be premature. A rejected plaint signifies serious flaws in the lawsuit's initial presentation. These defects are not minor, but go to the heart of whether a case can proceed. When a plaintiff appeals the rejection, they ask a higher court to rule that the trial court was wrong. Until this question is resolved, there is no active lawsuit for which an injunction could provide support. Granting an injunction would preempt the appellate court's decision on the plaint's validity. The focus must first be on establishing a legitimate case before considering ancillary remedies. Injunctions are significant and sometimes controversial in various legal contexts. The US Supreme Court has been examining the scope of nationwide injunctions. These injunctions can halt government policy across the entire country. Another example is the case concerning federal layoffs, where an injunction prevented widespread layoffs. The appellate court found that the president likely overstepped legal authority. In a Missouri case, the state Supreme Court lifted a temporary injunction blocking abortion restrictions. These examples highlight the critical role injunctions play in the legal system. They can protect rights, halt unlawful actions, and manage complex disputes. The Supreme Court's decision to remove temporary injunctions in appeals against rejected plaints is significant. It shifts the risk onto the appellant, emphasizing the importance of a strong initial claim. The Supreme Court's ruling has significant implications for litigants whose plaints are rejected. They must appeal the rejection without the potential safety net of a temporary injunction. This absence of interim relief places appellants in a more vulnerable position. Plaintiffs must exercise greater diligence when drafting their initial plaints. The stakes for getting the plaint accepted at the first instance have been raised. Defendants might view this decision favorably, as it shields them from temporary injunctions during appeals. Legal strategies will need to adapt to this new procedural reality. Lawyers must explain the heightened risks associated with a potential plaint rejection. The ruling underscores the importance of a strong start in any legal proceeding. Early missteps can have lasting and irremediable consequences. The Supreme Court has established a clear rule: no temporary injunctions in appeals against rejected plaints. This decision clarifies appellate procedure, emphasizing that an injunction is an ancillary remedy. The ruling aims to prevent the legal system from being encumbered by interim orders in fundamentally flawed cases. It discourages appeals for unmeritorious claims solely to obtain temporary leverage. The right to interim relief should be tied to a case that has passed initial judicial scrutiny. This decision introduces new strategic considerations for both plaintiffs and defendants. Litigants must navigate the appellate process without interim protection. Legal practitioners must adapt their advice and strategies to this altered landscape. The ruling underscores the necessity of a solid legal foundation before seeking judicial interventions. The legal system continuously evolves through judicial interpretation and legislative action.